We're going to jump into the fourth stage now, which is designing your book. Now, book design has two components. One is your cover design, and the other is your content design. Now, I know that's probably fairly obvious for anyone that's ever looked at a book, but it's very, very important that the two are dealt with separately, but still work together as one unit. Cover design needs essential elements, which I'll go into in a second, and content design needs the same. They are very different. They do not overlap, but your book still needs to work as one unit. For your cover design, you want an attention-grabbing front cover. That is the most important thing in your book cover design. If you do not have an attention-grabbing front cover, people will not see your book. People will not be drawn to your book, and they won't get as far as you want them to do, which is eventually obviously open it, read it, buy it. They'll get nowhere near that if the cover doesn't capture their attention. But the second most important thing works hand in hand, and that's an attention-grabbing title. If your cover captures their attention, it normally does it for a maximum of 3 seconds and then they're gone. Sometime in that 3 seconds, you want them to look at your title, read it, and be excited enough by it to go on to the third thing, which is an informative subtitle. Now, your title doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with the subject matter of your book. It just has to be attention-grabbing. Your informative subtitle then has to tell them what the book's actually about. And I'll give you an example. Say you've got a front cover of a book and you've got two little children, brother and sister, grabbing each other around the neck, pulling each other's hair out, fighting uncontrollably. The title of the book could be Cats and Dogs. Now, the kids squabbling got people's attention. Someone looked at cats and dogs and said, hold on, these are kids, what are they talking about? But the subtitle could be something like, How to Stop Your Children Acting Like Animals. You've got your reader's attention. So you want something out there that's going to grab their attention, hold it, and then explain what your book is about. Fourth area is actually on the back cover, not on the front cover at all. An important part of cover design, and that's your enticing blurb. Your blurb is very important. Once you've had the first 3 elements, the sole aim of them is to get them to turn your book over. 2 things happen when they turn your book over. 1, they pick it up, so they're a step closer to buying it. And 2, they're reading more information, so you know they're already interested. What goes in that blurb is very, very important, because that's what's going to make the difference as to whether they buy your book, or if the book's already bought, if they're in a library, whether they open your book and read it. Whether you're selling it to them literally or not, you're still selling the book every time to the potential reader. You want them to open the book, you want them to read the book. So the blurb is very important, and as I mentioned before, it's really good to include some testimonies in the blurb, but what you also want to include are 3 things. 1, you want information about the author in there, a really short section so that people know who you are, what qualifies you to write this book. You want a really brief synopsis of the book. Generally, sometimes I find it's quite good to take that out of the dedication. This book's dedicated to X, Y, and Z because. If you take out that this book's dedicated to because, generally that's a good description of what this book's going to do for people and how that's going to benefit people. And the other thing is sometimes you can integrate with the 2 part of the testimony themselves. Really important that the blurb of your book sells your book.